Welcome back, everyone. Today's grammar lesson that we have for you is on coordinating conjunctions. Now, this is a review lesson. We did talk about our coordinating conjunctions in a lesson before, so hopefully a lot of this will be familiar to you. If it's not familiar, you can go and watch one of our old videos where you can see when we first talk about coordinating conjunctions. It's a very long word. The simplest way that we talk about this is usually when we say fanboys. And we'll get into this in just a little bit. Now, coordinating conjunctions, when do we use them? Basically, what we're trying to do is show the relationship between two things. Either it's going to be two words, two clauses, two sentences, right? Or two phrases. So it really doesn't matter, but we're trying to show how two ideas are connected. And you have to be careful using the correct coordinating conjunction, because if you use the wrong one, the meaning of the sentence could change. So in your writing, make sure that you're very familiar with what each of these words mean so that you can use it correctly in your sentence. So let's get right into it. So the fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. It's easy to remember it in this order. And this is just one of those tricks that we have. It's a mnemonic. Basically, that means that we're using a word to kind of show you each individual letter. It means something else. Like DNA is not really a mnemonic, but each letter means something different. Deoxyribonucleic acid. When I was younger, we had to learn planets. And planets, when we had 9 planets, we had my very enthusiastic mother just served us nice pizza, which was Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. And so we had these mnemonics, these ways of learning long ideas, long complex lists. And one of the ways that we learned coordinating conjunctions was fanboys, F-A-N-B-O-Y-S. Now, what is the F? F is for. So what does for mean? The reason we use for in a sentence, or when we're comparing a couple of things, is when we're talking about a reason. So when you're going to say because of something, the something is the second thing in the two things that you are comparing. So we're going to say, like over here, B for A. So this is the action. We did B. Why? The reason was A. Now, we don't use this a lot. This is a bit old. This is a bit old-fashioned, archaic, but it still makes sense when you have academic writing. Normally, when you're just speaking with your friend, you could just use the word because, and it is still the same idea. So we could say B because of A, or using our fanboys, we could say B for A. So A is the reason for doing B, the action. Now, we're going to get into the bottom later, and this is the opposite side of that. But first, A. What is and? We use this all the time. I like this, and I like that, and I like this too. And that's kind of wrong when you're using and when you have 3 or 4 things. If you're going to talk about more than one thing, you could say I like pizza, comma, chicken, comma, right? When you're writing. You don't have to say comma when you're speaking. But I like pizza, I like chicken, I like tteokbokki, and I like ramyeon. So you want to use it once. You don't want to say I like pizza and chicken and tteokbokki and ramyeon. That's too many ands, right? So you want to use it at the end of your list. But when we use and, we're connecting two ideas. What kind of ideas? Two similar ideas. When you connect those two ideas, we want to use and, because we're trying to say that they're the same. So I like, in a good way, I like pizza and I like chicken. That's fine. Those are two similar things. They're food items. And so these are things that I both enjoy. And so we're connecting two similar ideas. What if you don't like two things? That's when we use the word nor. So we are still connecting two ideas, but we're connecting two negative ideas. And how do we do this? Backtracking to the and, so we have A and B. That's like I like pizza and chicken. But what if you don't like it? I do not like pizza nor chicken. That's fine. So that I'm trying to say that the B, I also do not like it. You could say I do not like A, nor do I like B, which shows you without saying the not 2 times, that those are both negative. If I say, I do not like chicken, nor do I not like pizza, that's wrong, because you're using a negative plus another not. That's really awkward when you're trying to say it. So because we have a not here, instead of saying not again, you're just saying nor. So I do not like pizza nor chicken. And that's fine. So both of those things you do not like. So we're connecting 2 ideas in a negative way, saying that it's something that you do not enjoy. Next one we have is but. When we use but, we are talking about contrasts or exceptions. Actually, if you see this line here, we also have yet. I'm going to skip this for a second. Yet and but are the same in how we use them. It's just yet sounds a little bit more formal, but is more informal, it's more casual. So when we say yet, contrast or exception, these are the same. So what is a contrast? Contrast means 2 different things. Compare is 2 similar things. And when we have exception, it's just another fancy word for this, contrast. So we have a couple of things, and you're trying to show the difference between those 2, which is not the same as when we're using nor. I'm saying nor, it's 2 things that I equally do not like. But when we're using but or yet, we have a choice here, but you decide to do something else. We want to show you this other option. So how do we use that? It's A but B. So I like chicken, but I'm going to eat pizza instead. Which is different from saying I like chicken and pizza, because I'm not eating them. But if you have 2 choices, this is a good choice, A. But I'm going to do B instead, which is different from A. The same thing with yet. I like A, yet I'm going to do B instead. That's the idea. So if you want to put instead at the end when you're thinking about this, that might help you a little bit. So we skipped or. Let's go back to it. So what does or mean? Or is when you have a choice or when you have an option. So think about when your parents are asking you what you want to eat. Do you want to have kimbap? Do you want to have tonkatsu? Do you want to have ramen? Right? Or do you want to have tonkatsu ramen? I don't know if that exists. Maybe it should. But if you have that idea, we're trying to say we have many choices. Here they are. Which one do you want? Do you want A or B? So I'm giving you this choice. Do you want A, B, C, D, E, or F? Which one of these choices do you want? That's when we use or. What about so? Remember when I said for was about because it's the reason, right, that something is happening? The so is saying that this is the cause. These are the opposite. So because and cause are different. Remember, we have B for A. So A is the cause, B is the reason. So B happened for A. When we're using so, A, so I'm going to do B. So think about these as opposites. So when we have the fanboys, the first one and the last one, the for and the so, these are the cause and effect, but it's effect, right? Well, yeah, effect and cause, right? So cause comes at the end. Usually in a sentence, you want to state the cause first and then put your effect at the end. It's an easier way to understand a sentence. But because we like to play around with our expressions, you can state the effect before you state the cause. All right, so we have a couple of examples to go through to hopefully clear all of this stuff up. And so let's look at some examples. So here are some examples that we can use when we're using our coordinating conjunctions. Now, we already learned the meaning just now, so let's see them in sentences. Let's start with for. Remember, when we're using for, let's look at our example. For is the reason, so I will sleep for I am tired. What's your reason? I am tired. So what's the action? I will sleep. Change this with because. I will sleep because I am tired. Does that make sense? That's an easy way to try to figure this out. But again, if we're looking here, when we're using coordinated conjunctions, we can use them for words, for clauses, for phrases, for sentences. Here we have 2 sentences. I will sleep. I could put a period. I am tired. That could be a separate sentence. When you're combining these together, we'll talk about this in another lesson, but I will sleep, comma, for I am tired, because we have a subject and a verb. We have a subject and a verb. So in this case, because it's two complete sentences, you need a comma before your fanboys to make this a good written sentence. When you're speaking, no one really cares. They're not going to hear your comma. When we talk about and is two things we're saying that they are similar ideas. So I learned French and Spanish. It's true. I learned French when I was in high school. I learned Spanish when I was in college. Yay! Not really. Even though I learned A and B, right? Similar things, their languages, what happened? Sadly, I can neither speak French nor Spanish. Even though I learned them, I didn't practice, and so I can't speak them anymore. I can understand a little, but the language skill has been lost because I'm out of practice. But when we're using nor, I didn't talk about this before, but there's a word that's often paired. I could just say, sadly, I cannot speak French nor Spanish, and that's fine. But when we use nor, oftentimes we're going to be using neither. So, sadly, I can neither speak French nor Spanish. But here, why is there no comma? Sadly, I can neither speak French. This is not a complete thought, so I don't have a comma here. And then after the nor, this is just one word. We're only going to use the comma, coordinating conjunction, with another independent clause when you have two sentences you're combining. When you're just combining two parts of sentences, you don't need that comma there. So sadly, I can neither speak French nor Spanish. No comma goes here. Next, when we're using but and yet, because they are similar, right? I'm not going to use the new example here. We're just going to use the same one. So I studied, but what happened? I didn't get an A. Oh, that's sad, but it happens all the time. You study so hard and you didn't get that A. Close though. So when we're using the but, here again I have a comma because I studied is one sentence. I didn't get an A, that's another sentence. Putting them together, I will have a comma with my conjunction, comma, but. Now here, if I don't want to use the comma, I studied but didn't get an A. If I take out the I, take out my second subject, then I don't need this comma. The reason this is here, sentence, connecting. If this I wasn't here, I don't need this comma. I studied but didn't get an A. No comma is a good way to use it as well. Next, when we're using or, should I go to the playground or to sleep? This is the example that I was trying to explain here. When do we not use the comma? What's my sentence? Should I go to the playground, question mark, or to sleep? Right? Here, to sleep and to the playground are two prepositional phrases. Remember, we can connect phrases together. But these are not two different sentences, so I do not need the comma. If I want to put the comma, I could say, should I go to the playground or should I go to sleep? Then I have two separate sentences. But again, or, I'm giving a choice here. Which one do you want to do? Well, playground or sleep, what do I do? Well, I am tired, so I will go to sleep. Again, comma, so I am tired is a sentence. And then, I will go to bed is another sentence. We can use the comma. Or, I am tired, so it's bedtime. And that's fine. Actually, no, it's not, because it is your subject. But yeah, when you're using so, try to use this when we're comparing two sentences the easy way. There are other ways, of course, to use it without the comma. So, I am tired, so I will go to bed, which is the opposite of this. I will sleep, for I am tired. Just kind of switch the order of them, and we have I am tired, so I will go to bed. Hopefully, though, you'll stay up a little bit and keep studying our grammar lesson. Well, let's review.
Coordinating Conjunctions Review. When do we use coordinating conjunctions? We use coordinating conjunctions when we are connecting words, phrases, clauses, or sentences. When do we use the conjunction for? We use for to give a reason. It's the same as because. When do we use the conjunctions and nor? We use and to connect similar ideas. We use nor to connect negative ideas. When do we use the conjunction but and yet? We use but and yet to show contrast, differences, or exceptions. When do we use the conjunction or? We use or to show a choice or option. When do we use the conjunction so? We use so to show a consequence, effect, or reason.